Hey guys, Shui here with episode 13 of the No Shui Out podcast. Again, just want to thank everyone for the support so far. If you can, please share the pod, let people know, like, share, subscribe. Anything really helps, guys. We're really at the ground floor here building up. The progress has been great so far. I want to thank you. Today I have on my friend Bob, aka MADCOLLECTS from Whatnot. You might call him, what's the best way to say it? Whatnot's most explosive streamer. We'll talk a little bit about that. He called me. He wanted to talk about Panini and how he feels like Panini's ruining the wrestling card hobby. So we talk about that. I talk about my New Jack story, the one time I got to meet New Jack in person, and Bob ends up going into some of his own New Jack stories as well. Then we talk a little bit about WWE in general, WrestleMania, all sorts of fun stuff. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. All right, there you go. Well, now we're recording. So, guys, I got a message today from my guy Matt Collects, who said he wanted to come on and give some hot takes. Bob, how you doing today, my guy?
Doing good. Thanks for having me, Troy.
Oh, of course. So, Bob, is it safe for me to call you the most explosive streamer on Whatnot? Am I allowed to say that, or what? If you had a
I like
nickname,
it.
what do you think? You like it?
Yeah,
No.
that's probably fair to say. I don't see anybody else do it, but I don't look at a whole lot of streams, so it's
Oh yeah, for
possible.
sure. Well, I mean, dude, there's a lot of Quincy cards that don't need to find a home. You rehome them into oblivion. So
There's some Dominics and Quincy's and a
yeah,
few
well,
others.
well,
Yeah,
Dom. I mean, of all the people you
Reggie's,
didn't like,
Reggie's.
yeah, I was about to say Dom actually panned out. Reggie and Quincy, not so much. But yeah. So Bob contacted me, and by the way, if you haven't, make sure to check out Mad Collects on Whatnot. And he wanted to talk about his thoughts about Panini as a whole, and we'll kind of just go from there. So, Bob, I guess the floor is yours to let people know how your hot takes about Panini.
Probably not hot takes as much as just frustrations, but I talk with other people a lot and stuff, and just what's wrong with the hobby. And you touch base with some people hating Leaf and stuff because of all the one and ones and stuff of that nature. What I don't like that Panini does with wrestling, Tops did a very good job of coming out with 2 or 3 products a year and limiting the autographs. And Panini, and especially at WWE, because WWE doesn't have seasons. It's year round. It's not baseball, football, basketball with off time. And these other sports have 100, 200, 300 rookies
Right.
coming in every year. So every year, if they come out with 40 products, you've got 300 new rookies every year to hit the scene. Where with WWE, on a good year, you might have 10 new rookies and you got the same roster. So you just can't keep flopping, 500, 1,000 Holgans and Ric Flairs and Stone Colds and Undertakers and every product, and coming out with 10, 12 products a year and have them in every product without driving the price down on the autos to the point of, yeah, I've seen it really bad the last 2 years since Patini took over and started putting 2 autographs in every box. Tops used to do it 1 per hobby box and maybe 1 in 125 packs retail, and would have
What?
about 20 guys signing.
Well, some of the top stuff actually did have 2 autos because like my 2 favorite Tops products are probably like Tops Chrome and Finest, and they both had the 2
Right.
guaranteed autos.
Well,
And
no, this is starting around 19. I'm just saying prior
oh,
to
okay,
that.
yeah.
Then we got, if you really want to get technical, Tops Undisputed has.
Oh, I was about to bring up Undisputed too. Yeah.
So just saying around 19. So
But
but
Chrome
my point
didn't.
my point being is football, basketball, and baseball are going to have 300-400 rookies every couple of years and thousands of legends. Where
Yeah.
WWE has a flat roster, and most
Well,
of them, we probably lose 10 or 12 a year to death, and only are bringing in 6 or 8. So you're and they're just over flooding it, and I think that's why they're having such a problem with redemptions. Uh,
Well, you look at
Undertaker, Flair, and all these people that are not wanting to sign because they've already signed 20,000 times for them.
right. Well, the one thing with like when I was bringing up again Topps Chrome and Topps Finest, you look at Topps Chrome 2020, 2021, Stone Cold, Hogan, Undertaker, all three of them didn't sign in either of those products.
Right.
So it's like they made it a little bit more scarce. The only Panini product that I can think of, and I'm not going to count like the random Euro releases that don't have autos in it, as far as broad scale releases for WWE and Panini, the only one I can think of that doesn't have Hogan, Austin, and Taker in it is NXT. Besides that, every single product you get Stone Cold, Undertaker, and Austin. Pretty
Right.
much
And
every single
Tops
product.
has like three, three products a year to boot, where Panini's pushing 8 or 10, and I just don't like. And then they say, well, yeah, there's only 199 Holgans, but they do 199, 149, 199, then 49, 25, 10, 5, 1, and then they'll do it concourse, field, and ringside. So there's 1,500 autos in every product coming out every 3 months, and it's just and it's hard. And back when I first started years ago, wrestling, and I blame this on the breakers, and I've done breaks before, so I'm guilty of it too. I'm not calling anybody out, but
Yeah, I feel
years ago,
attacked, Bob. I'm just letting you know I feel personally attacked, but go
yeah,
ahead, please.
well, my point was years ago when wrestling would come out, like it'd come out at $75 a box, and 2 weeks later it was $40 a box because nobody really bought it. Now it's like the exact opposite. They come out with something at 400. Like for instance, Impeccable wholesale is $425 a box coming out. They've already got it 1,200 on some of these Dave and Adams and secondary sites.
Per box.
And the reason, per box.
Not what. Yeah, that's the thing that gets me is.
Yeah, so you're talking 3,600 a case, and you're like,
right,
who wants to buy that? But then some of these breakers are going to get 50, 100 cases, and that's why the price doesn't come down. It just keeps going up, and it just makes it tough to get bargains on the stuff anymore. But
well, it's funny you mentioned that real quick. Sorry to cut you off, Bob. It's I noticed there was a breaker on Whatnot. I think between me breaking Leaf early and helping raise the price a little bit, but another breaker bought 50.
I'd like to interrupt you there and say, if you get it early, that's not your fault. Just for the record.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm grateful that you don't want to ban me from the hobby like some other salty folks are. But someone bought 50 cases of Leaf for Whatnot, and it's stuff like that, or like the constant 5-case break, stuff like that. Like that's driving the hobby box price up. It's funny to me how a lot of times you'll find out real quick what stuff is on sale, because you'll go on Whatnot and there'll be like 10 streams breaking the exact same thing, and it's like, oh, so y'all all caught the sale at Dave and Adams, I see. Or like I remember being in someone's stream and he was breaking all this AEW Spectrum, and there was someone else breaking Spectrum, and I'm like, shit, I just missed a sale, obviously, and I went and I found the sale and I bought the last case. But I'm like, fuck, if I had seen it earlier, I just would have bought like 5 just because I like AEW, as you know.
Oh, totally. But like I say, when these boxes come out, they come out at 140. I mean, wholesale's almost a word that doesn't exist anymore because of all the breakers. It used to be this stuff would come out at 140 and might go up to 150 or even drop in price. Now, everything, now you can't even get. I used to order 5 cases and get 5 cases. Now I order 5 cases, I'll get 1. And if I want any more, I got to go to the secondary market, and it's already doubled. And it's and the reason it's doubled is because it's not sitting around in warehouses. And part of that's a good thing that there's more people buying and collecting. But as somebody who's not in it per se for the money as I am, it's not my day job. But I get where it hurts these people. it kind of irks me that I can't get the stuff cheap like I used to. So
Well, Bob, it's also funny you mentioned that too, because the price of, I have not been in the game as long as you or someone like our guy SE has been in the game. Shout out SE. But I noticed that it's like, you know, it wouldn't bother me if these prices on boxes going up as much if the singles had the value to justify it, if that makes sense. Because
and,
it's
and that's
very rare you open a hobby box, you actually get value out of said hobby box. That's why I feel like a lot of people, there's various people who get in breaks, but I feel like some folks who get in break are like, all right, well, I collect a random person. The chance of me getting them in my hobby box, let alone like getting value back on a hobby box, is tough. So like I can see it from that point of view, but I can't remember the last time I opened up a hobby box and felt like, for me at least, and felt like I actually got value on said hobby box,
yeah, unless
regardless
you
of the
want
product.
a one or a gold or something. But
Yeah, unless you're getting, something super fire, but even then you got to sell it right away
yeah,
or the value
well,
is
that's
going to
the
be
other thing. If you go back pre-19, before all the autographs, you go back to 15 and an undisputed base rookie card of Alexa Bliss is
right.
numbered to 99 will still get you $100. A 2013 Roman Reigns rookie base card will still fetch 50 or a couple hundred in a high grade. You got a base like right now. The hottest thing is probably Tiffany Stratton. What's a base
Yeah.
Prison Stratton going to get you? 50 cents, a
Well,
dollar.
it's funny you mentioned Tiff because I was talking to Johnny again, Essie, about this the other day, and like, as terrible as this sound, I'm just gonna be blatantly honest with you, Bob. I didn't get asked about Tiffany like, a quart 75% as much. Like the amount I got hit about Tiffany went up at least like 5 times after she got a boob job.
Yeah,
Because before then, like I barely ever heard of her. Her stuff didn't sell that well. She came back. Now all of a sudden I'll see like Prism Silvers and Red, White, and Blues and stuff of Tiffany where I'm like, a couple or even like those premium Tiffany's. And like, a month or two ago, I remember I ran one, maybe went for $5 or $10. That might be a $20 or $30, like for the premium one. Now, depending on the situation, like her stuff's been going up crazy. I will say though, Bob, as far as the Roman, and not to call you out, but I do know there's a couple cards that you've run so much in your stream you've probably destroyed hurt the value. I wouldn't say destroy, well, I'll say it, fuck it, destroyed the value because you ran it so much. Roman not quite as much, but I think of like there's the Sasha rookie you ran a couple times,
sure.
and like an Alexa
So,
Liv one.
especially 2017 through 13, I sadly probably did single-handedly destroy a few market values, but
Oh yeah.
but with the females, and you mentioned Tiff Fester, the boot job, that's always been the case. That's like showing you made it in WWE when you get a boob job, and it goes back to Stephanie McMahon. I mean, when she came in, the $1 Billion Princess, boom, she's on TV, boob job. Charlotte Flair, I don't know if Trish Stratus was natural or not, but God bless her if she is. But it seems like everybody, when they hit that mark, that's their goat. Cora Jade recently, and just the list
Right.
goes on and on with that. But that's
Yeah,
all because sex sells. It's no secret.
Well, they
Sex
had
sells.
so Freddie Prinze Jr., the actor.
Yeah.
So he was a writer for WWE for a while, and he recently came out and was talking about his time, because he was a writer slash acting coach when Cena was there. And he was talking to Kevin Dunn, and basically they had a whole program with this one wrestler, and they were like, trying to build her up to become champion and blah, blah, blah. And Kevin Dunn pretty much was like, yeah, she's not hot enough. And like basically deleted 6 months worth of storylines just because he's like, we're going to invest in someone who, they have, as it's super, I'm not going to lie and sit here, this isn't shallow, but it's like they have metrics. They can see when people go on TV who's getting a better reaction. They can see whose merch is selling. They can see who's getting engagement. So they're like, look, we could book Shayna Baszler, but if people aren't going to be interested, as much as I think Shayna's a badass, if people aren't interested, what's the point? You know, is that's
Yeah,
kind of what
you're,
WWE
you're
is doing.
absolutely right with Baszler. She UFC background, kind of like the Brock Lesnar, but she doesn't have the
Yeah.
look. Her face has been punched in a few times, and
I feel like if she had a
she may be an
manager, man.
all-world wrestler, but just people don't follow her sadly because of that.
Yeah,
And
if they had someone talking for her, man, I feel like because they in NXT she had a pretty good thing going, but on the main roster, it's just like, you know, NXT kind of had this dark underground vibe for a while, even though that's not what they really were. And then you come to the main roster and it's like red, blue, it's like very vibrant, big colors, people like that. I don't feel like her carrying cross types, I don't feel like they really fit on the main roster because they kind of had a darker vibe to it. Like Judgment Day, I don't view as being a dark vibe. I see them like they're all wearing purple. They look like Power Rangers too, to me. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's a little too bright for me personally. But
well, the other thing is with the females is just a lot of them are not, and it goes with the males too. Sadly, is to be on the main roster, it's really hard to push a 410 Katana Chance or a 410 Ivy Nile when you got, 5'10 Charlotte Flairs and 5'10 Rhea Ripley's who are athletic and
well, I would disagree with that. I would disagree with that just because they, you know, Shawn Michaels, Rey Mysterio, like they've had short men's champions before. Sasha Banks isn't the biggest. Alexa isn't the biggest. My thing with Katana and Ivy Nile is their gimmicks suck. Like I was talking again, I'm broken records, talking to SC the other day, and he was talking about how much he liked the Creed brothers. And you know, you look at Ivy, you look at the Creed brothers, it's like, all right, so your gimmick is you guys are like what? College athletes? Like there's no charisma, there's no reason, like they're great in the ring, but there's no reason for me to care. And someone like Ivy Nile, like, you know, I feel like she could pick up, I'm not saying I want her to beat Rhea, but I feel like she could pick up Rhea. She could do a lot of stuff with Rhea based off how strong she is to make her look like a legitimate
Yeah.
candidate. You know,
But the
one
problem is
thing,
when you got somebody like the Giant going up against Rey Mysterio, which they did a little run on that, it loses its believability.
oh,
Like, so
definitely.
when I see Ivy Nile at 410, even though she's ripped like a little pit bull, looking up at Charlotte Flair, who's 5'10", I just don't see her beating her anyway. But
Oh
they
no,
can do some storylines to build that up and maybe run it over. It just that's why Nick Russo he he said he got pissed off at the wrestlers when they started bringing in wrestlers that weren't bodybuilders like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And I often joke on my streams, Sami Zayn looks like somebody I'd give change to outside the dollar store. He doesn't have that, but they've made a star out of him. So
but
it's
he's
in the
never won
right.
the title though. You know, like
Yeah,
there's certain guys that they just, especially in Vince's WWE, didn't pass the eye test. For me, Katana, her main issue is just like what, like, so her gimmick is that she goes to parties and raves. You know what I mean? It's just like a lot of their gimmicks just aren't that good. And I think one thing that WWE would really, you know, I'm not a proponent of adding titles usually. I think if, bless you, I think if anything, they could easily like get rid of some titles, especially all these double, you know, having two world champions to me just seems stupid. But the fact like AEW has the women's TBS title, which is kind of like their intercontinental title. If they had like a women's intercontinental title, a lot of these people who are kind of waiting to get the chance to be women's champion, they can, you know, use that title to build them up. Someone like, you know, Shayna, maybe Jade, if they ever have Jade Cargill come up, or Tiffany Stratton. You know, it used to be the IC title was kind of that precursor to potentially getting a world championship run. And to be honest, there's no one on the roster right now that I'd want to see Rhea lose to. If Rhea lost to Becky at Mania, I'm going to be disappointed. Like, if anything, I would love to have Rhea have a long reign like Roman more than I like Roman's long reign. You know, I'm not mad at Roman's reign, but like realistically, who would you even want to beat Rhea at this point?
Yeah, no, Rhea is she's it right now. That's why I like.
Right.
Then I like also that they have the two championships because that way Roman doesn't have to be on every week. Seth takes the.
I mean, but
my
only gripe
it's
with
unfair.
that, my only gripe with that, Bob, is like they had two titles.
Yeah.
And then they had Roman beat Drew and get like he got both titles that they had. that they
That's
combined
exactly
into
where I was
one
going with it.
to
Exactly where I
bring
was going.
another one. Yeah,
Because
it's
I hate
just
it. Yeah, I hate it when they do that, like with the tag teams right now with the Judgment Day. It's like, why do they have both of them? You know, it
right.
just it's silly. It makes no
I
sense.
mean, I would be happy with them having just, to me, if it was up to me, I would like one set of tag team titles and one championship. I don't want Seth and Roman. I want
Right,
one
right.
guy. The problem is that because they're booking Roman like that, they realize people are losing interest with the lack of there being a title for people to win, because the two biggest men's title before Seth showed up were the IC and the
Yeah.
Universal Heavyweight Champion, and both
But
Gunther and Roman haven't lost in a while.
yeah, and switching the gun there, don't you think it's really cool how they were going to make Cody go against Seth and The Rock against Roman, and the crowd and the people got them to change that? I think that was so cool.
All right, here's my thing, Bob. I don't believe that shit. I
Well,
don't.
it's
I don't.
scripted. But
Yeah, no, to me, I don't think the people did. I think it was one of those things where they're like, we're gonna throw this out there. If no one gets that upset, we're just gonna rock with it. But if people get upset, then it's only gonna add to the. I think that shit was all. I don't think people really had too much to do with it personally. I think that's what WWE's plan was from the beginning,
yeah,
because
well,
it
it was
instantaneously
even
makes.
cool they spun it that way.
Well, it's
Just my
instantaneously like,
opinion.
how can you get people to hate The Rock? That was their main thing. They're bringing in The Rock. He's one of the most likable people right now in all of entertainment and the WWE.
Right.
Every time he comes out, people love this guy, and you have to figure out a way to get people to hate him.
Yeah, well, that's
So
what they
have
tried to
him
do.
shit on Cody. Have
Yeah.
him shit on Cody. And now a lot of people don't like The Rock, which to me is hilarious. Like, I was showing my mom some of this stuff, and she doesn't like Cody. She's like, I want The Rock and Roman to win. Like, why would I like Cody? This guy's coming out here. He looks rich as shit. He's wearing a fancy suit. You know what I mean? Like, he's doing all this stuff that's normally heel type shit, historically.
Right. Well, I
So
like Cody. That's just me, and that's the beauty of it, is divide. That's their whole job, is to divide the audience. So they got, they get a good pop out of it both ways, and I just think it's neat that everybody's got an opinion and interest, and it's going to be a cool little showdown. But yeah, they did the same thing with Hogan, tried to make him a villain with the NWO, and what happened? Everybody liked the NWO. So yeah, certain guys, you're absolutely right. You can't make a heel out of The Rock very, very easily, because just even if you do, they're going to like him as a heel, because what's he done all his life? Talk crap and make fun of people. So
and back it up.
He's always been a fun heel, but people just didn't realize it. So it's kind of cool how he plays off and gets his catchphrases through all the time and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is definitely not A+ Rock work, compared to like other stuff he's done, but it's still significantly better than 99.9% of wrestling currently.
I'm sure a lot of it's, financial and stuff. Not that he needs the money, but $30 million or whatever
Well, 30 million in stock. And then they also gave him the right to the Rock name, so he now owns the trademark on the Rock name.
Yeah, that's for him. But I don't get into the whole politics and money, but I'm sure that plays into it too.
Oh, I'm fascinated by the business stuff. That's some of the stuff. Like, I'm one of those guys.
But he could play heel all day, and you're right. It just kind of like Cena. They tried to go heel with him, and it worked a little bit. But at day's end, everybody remembers loving these guys, and whether they're good or bad. It's just like Ted DiBiase, probably the biggest heel of the '80s. Everybody loves him now because at a certain point, you grow out of that 8 to 12-year-old where you realize it's not real. Like, it's scripted, but it's not fake. But it's also not, it's a storyline. It's a phenomenal run, and to me, it's the greatest soap opera on TV. It's been going
definitely
25, 30 years now,
nonstop.
Yeah, and keeps getting bigger. They're selling out arenas everywhere they go, and it's there's no end to it, and they've really made a great market out of basically bullying is what it is. You want to see the little guy beat the bully, and that's what most of their storylines run around. But
Well, that and quote unquote doing the right thing, you know, it's like, hey, if you do things the right way, you'll be rewarded and blah blah blah. Good guys
and
do
I'm not
things
sure I
first.
like their whole family friendly stuff now. I used to like, you know, it wasn't crazy, but a little blood never hurt anybody, and a little, you know, they say they're all like going away from the
But Bob,
womanizing.
you don't
Go
like
ahead.
AEW? No, I'm just saying you're saying it's too family friendly. Like, do you watch AEW remotely consistently or not so much?
Not so much, but I know Darby Allin and some of those guys get bloodied up
Yeah,
all white, and I like I. It doesn't need to be gruesome or graphic, but at the same point, it's more believable to me if you get hit in the face 8 times to have a bloody nose. You know,
right.
or get hit with a chair or table. You know,
Right.
that
I do.
sells it a little better, makes it more believable. Which is why when we were little, we believed it because you'd see Ric Flair with his blonde hair, just all blood running down Dusty Road, Abdullah the Butcher. Good Lord, you know,
Oh
you
yeah, that
actually
man
thought
forking
these
all over
guys,
the
yeah,
place.
you actually thought these guys were killing each other, and,
Well, uh,
nowadays it's kind of more understood as entertainment. So, go
well,
ahead with what you're
Bob,
going to say.
I was gonna say I don't think I've ever told you my I haven't even told the podcast this my New Jack story.
No, but I have met him, and he's a crazy guy.
Yeah, well, I was working at a record label in New York, and they had hired New Jack to come out for a music video shoot. And I'm gonna be honest, like I did not know who New Jack was at the time. You know, I watched a lot of wrestling, like mostly WWF and some WCW as a kid, but I never really, bless you, I never super got into ECW and all that just because I wasn't up late and I also didn't know where to find it. And they bring him out, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you where you've met someone and you can look in their eyes and be like, man, this guy's either been through or done some shit. Like just by the look in his
Yeah,
eyes, you can
exactly.
just tell. Like I looked him straight in the eyes and I'm like, this man has done something or had shit done to him. I don't know, but I ain't fucking with this dude. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting there and they're filming it and all that. He pulls out a staple gun, starts stapling money to his forehead in front of me. And again, I didn't know who the fuck he was. So I'm just like, okay, this is interesting. I've never seen this before. Like literally as close as my microphone is right now. That's how close man was. And my boss at the time comes up to me. He's like, hey, so, you know, I appreciate you coming out today, blah, blah, blah. We really need to find someone for New Jack for this scene of B-roll. So we were wondering, would you be okay with him hitting you in the head with a trash can lid? And I was just like, and I looked him in the eyes, saw his eyes, and again, I didn't know who this was at the time, and I just saw his eyes, and I was like, and this is also after he stapled the money to his head, and I'm like, yeah, fuck that. That's I'm
This
like,
guy,
bro, no way.
somebody forgot to tell him, you know, but you know, he had a whole run-in with falling off, people hitting his head on the concrete, busting open, throwing people off rafters. I mean,
Oh, I saw
he
the
took,
dark side of the ring
yeah,
after, years
he
after
took
the
stuff
fact.
seriously, man.
Yeah.
He held a grudge. Let's just say that.
Dude, he shanked a guy in the ring. You
Yeah,
know, like he shanked
exactly.
a guy in the ring and they wanted this man to fucking attack me. I'm just like,
Yeah,
nah. And
it's
I was
just
like an intern too, so I was not like making that much off this. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
yeah, that'd be the way I was. He was him and the other guy I met was Jake Roberts a few times before Diamond Dallas saved him, so to speak. And yeah, he had that squirrely look in the eyes, like he just didn't know what the hell. If he asked for something, you'd better get it, you know, because he was serious.
Yeah.
He had some drug issues, and I'll never forget. I picked him up from the plane. True story. I picked him up at the airport, and he says, "Stop at the gas station here." We stopped at the gas station. Dude buys a $50 scratch-off lottery ticket, a can of Pepsi, a spoon, and some baking powder.
Oh god.
and a case of Coors Light. and I just said,
Oh man.
this is gonna be one of those weekends.
Yeah, I
Oh
was
Lord.
about to say, man got a spoon and some baking soda.
Oh,
Oh my god.
and I kid you not, that case of Coors Light was gone. Half of it was gone in the 5-minute trip to the hotel. I mean, he's a big dude. He's like 6'8", 350 at the time, 400 probably. He had some issues, but yeah, some of those guys, I can see why the company let him go.
I mean, yeah, I don't remember him being that tall, but I definitely was like, I don't know. Like I said, there's only been like 2 or 3 times in my life where I've been around folk where I get that type of energy, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm good. Especially they're trying to get me attacked. I'm like, I'm an intern at the time. I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
yeah. They figure let the intern do it. He needs.
Yeah. Hey, in
Sucker.
hindsight, if he had attacked me, maybe I could be like, oh, I was pressured into my boss and sue him. But at the same point, I saw what he did to that one underage kid in ECW where the dude had permanent nerve damage. So I'm like, yeah, I'd rather not have permanent nerve damage. So
it was probably a good career move on your end, sir.
I mean, I might not be talking to you right now, Bob. I might not be talking to you right now.
Speaking of talking to that, let's switch gears to my beef with Panini. With the autograph redemptions. What do you honestly like between you and me? My aggravation with that, and I'm sure it's the same with everybody else.
Well, between you, me, and the podcast, obviously.
Right. But yeah. I've got Roman Reigns redemptions and John Cena redemptions, and in 23 they're signing on card. Why are they not fulfilling the redemptions?
Charlotte Flair too. There's a lot of redemptions for Charlotte. Randy Orton too. I know Randy signed some impeccable stuff, but besides that, I have a Cody Randy redemption out of iMac that's just been sitting there for over a year.
Yeah, it's for Stone Cold, the Stone Cold Kevin Owens dual iMac auto. They said they're not going to complete. They only got 12 out of the 25 done, and they can't get the guys to come back. I call them and I tell them, I said, what? This redemption was y'all's job to do. That's part of putting it in the product. And then when we go to nationals, you've got Undertaker, Stone Cold autographs in your national packs with stickers on them. Why did you not use those stickers to honor the redemptions? That just I don't understand their logic there.
Yeah, just the whole redemptions in general. It's like I don't understand how. I don't know. I kind of put this on WWE though. To me, just because WWE signed the deal with Panini, they knew that these autographs, like I don't know how this works, Bob, but my guess is that WWE gives them a list of wrestlers who could be available for said product. Maybe Panini or Topps, whatever, gives them a list of people they're looking at, something along those lines. And WWE at some point was like, yeah, it's fine, put those people in the product. And it doesn't seem like these redemptions, like WWE really gives too much of a shit. I know they're going over to Topps at some point, but there was still redemptions.
Well, what it is, they mail them to them, or they send them to them, or they mail the stickers to them. Right. I know I've talked with some of the guys that, Honky and Coco and some of these lesser guys that sign.
Whoa! That's the greatest intercontinental champion of all time. Don't call him a lesser guy. Anyways, continue.
Well, I mean, some of these guys that aren't. Trust me, I love Honky, but some of the, they're not a Hogan and Stone Cold, but I assume they use the same theory. They mail them, 100 sheets of stickers and tell them we're going to give you X amount for each sheet you fill out, and they sign them and send them in. But it's weird to me that, and it boils down to Panini putting so many in each set coming out so often, because I guarantee you, if like you and me right now would think, man, somebody pay us $20 an autograph, I'll sign 1,000 times. But sometimes at work, when I got to sign my name 100 times, this sucks, I don't like doing this. So
yeah, I mean, it's easy for people to be like, I always find it funny where it's like, whoa, why isn't his signature better? Blah blah blah. And it's like, look, Finn Balor's auto sucks. I get it. Seth Rollins and Becky leave stuff to be thing, but when you're signing 3,500 autographs in a sitting, you're trying to get through that shit very quickly. Like some of the veterans who have more time, are going to put a little bit more time into it because they're like, hey, like, I want to get asked back. I need this revenue versus someone like Seth and Becky, where it's like, I just want this to be done as quickly as possible so I can move on.
Yeah, I'm just here because they made me do it, and I
Right.
get Seth and Becky are quick, simple. Dean
Well,
Ambrose, Roman Reigns. Let's face it, Roman Reigns is RR with a little X. I mean,
hey, I mean, that's a lot better than Seth. I will say, though, you brought up a good point before we were on the stream, which is like, for example, someone like Ivan Putski who has redemptions in product, and then you look at Panini's website to redeem points, and he has autos available for redemption via points. And it's like, so you got him to sign that, but there's still redemptions that he hasn't signed yet. Like,
then,
right.
like I say, Charlotte Flair's in the Donruss Elite Pen Pals autos.
I know. I pulled her 101. I pulled her 101, so I know it's
did
there.
you?
Yeah, I pulled that for my guy Pickle Chuck. Shout out Pickle Chuck. Can you believe I pulled this man Pickle Chuck 3 101s in 2 weeks, man? The Tiffany Stratton 101, a Charlotte 101, and then a Dom plate. Your boy Dom. So,
Pickle Chuck's riding the golden horseshoe right now.
I'm the golden horseshoe, you know.
Yeah. Not only that, I'll tell you right now, I've opened 50 cases and pulled maybe a handful of 101s. So you got the magic touch too. What do they call it? The hot fingers.
Yeah, hot hands. Hands.
So, but I've never liked the redemption stuff, and I definitely don't like I say with WWE and the roster. If anything, it gets smaller every year because a lot of the legends die, and they just can't sustain putting 1,500 Hogans in every darn product. They need to protect it like Upper Deck did with LeBron and Jordan.
Well, so it's funny you mention Upper Deck, though, because, it's funny on the opposite end of the spectrum. A lot of people get upset with AEW's lack of hits, and it's one of those things that's like, for consumers, would you rather have, in a 16-box case or a 12-box case, would you rather have 4 autos? Or would you rather have, like, overall in a 16-box case, or would you rather have 32 autos?
No, I'd rather have 4. This is me, and everybody's different. I'd rather have 4 autos and make them of roster guys as opposed to having 75 autos with Mansoor autos, Massey autos.
That's the thing with AEW. Like, you get 4 autos, and one of them could be a fucking ref. You know what I'm saying? Talk about deflating, dude. You're opening up a case, and it's like, one of your autos is a ref, and like the other one's a jobber.
The prices are a little more reasonable. 80, 100 a box, 60 a box, as opposed to 250.
Now AEW, their thing is a lot of times they come out with, like, for example, Spectrum when it first came out was like 300, 330 a box. Spectrum now is like 80 to 120 a box, depending. It's not quite as easy to find anymore because they're running out of product, but it's just interesting how it's fallen almost to a third of initial cost. When it's at that price, it's not bad. But I remember buying a case at 300 plus a piece when it first came out. I bought 2 cases, and man, it was a struggle to even break even, bro. It was.
You want to talk about Prism? You want to talk about Prism when it first came out? How much we paid for boxes?
Well, yeah, Bob, I'm definitely let's hold on that. We can talk about Prism. We got like a minute something left until my Zoom ends. So how about we'll come to a quick close. I'll read some of my ads, and then we could come back for part 2 of the pod where we talk a little Prism, and then we can find some other stuff to talk about, if that sounds good to you, Bob.
Big shout out to Morty during commercial break.
Oh yeah, dude, definitely got to shout out Morty. He's almost healed up from a surgery, Bob, so he's got like another like 2 or 3 weeks, and he should be back to normal and all that. So
all right, well, that's good. We'll join you after the break.
There you go.
The No Shway Out podcast is brought to you by Shway Nostalgia. Go check out shwaynostalgia.com and cop some merch. Perhaps cop some vintage action figures or t-shirts. There's all sorts of cool stuff to buy and support Shway Nostalgia. We are trying to give you tons of free content. Help us make that free content easier for us. Support the small business, support the pod, and also make sure to check me out at shwaywrestling.net, guys. A wrestling community of over 400 people and 100 sellers. A great opportunity to sell your cards. I will help you do it if you post them on there. Also, we have a great community and a bunch of group chats in there with like-minded wrestling fans and a lot of great people. So make sure to check out shwaywrestling.net and go hop over to shwaynostalgia.com and cop a t-shirt. Also, if you haven't already, go to Whatnot and follow Shui Nostalgia so you can check out all my breaks and all my streams. We do pull boxes, we do singles, I do all sorts of stuff, but regardless of what kind of stream it is, you're gonna have a good time. So make sure to check it out, follow, like, and share the podcast, and help us grow to do bigger and better things. Thanks, guys, and enjoy the rest of the pod. Well, Bob, we're back. I'm sure I made some amazing ads on the way. I haven't made them yet, so I'll have to listen to it and see how they turned out. But we left off where you were about to talk about Prism before I cut you off, and how Prism was going for when it first came out.
Yeah, when it first, I was joking about that because, when it came out, it was going for, oh man, I want to say $1,000, $1,500 a box.
Oh, I remember I bought a couple boxes at $800 when I first got into cards, so yeah.
Yeah, and I remember when it first hit eBay, I feel sorry for whoever got stuck with it, but like the Andre Gold went for like $20,000. There's some insane prices on there, but
I was told on Whatnot base Gable Steveson cards were going for like $50 for base cards.
They were. Actually, he has a strange following, I guess, because of his wrestling. Not WWE wrestling, but collegiate wrestling and Olympic
too.
Background. Yeah. So he's got some crazy following there, but I have seen his stuff go for. And when they came out with that first premium box set, it was what, $5,000 or something. They were really high on Prism, and then it kind of calmed down. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but
what happened with?
Go ahead.
I was going to say with Prism, what happens is there's a lot of guys who aren't wrestling fans who just bought Prism because they're sports guys, and historically Prism goes for higher. So a lot of these guys don't really know anything about wrestling, and they're like, oh, it's Hogan, oh, it's Andre, these are big names, and people are buying them based off that, and then realizing that wrestling isn't the same monetary value as like sports, even though like sports in general was going crazy, like the hobby in general during that time was going crazy.
Yeah,
too.
During COVID and stuff, it was insane.
Right.
You could sell junk wax era boxes for $125. Never thought I'd see the day. 89 Donruss and Griffey Juniors would be $40, $50 during COVID.
It's funny you mentioned that because my good friend Sports Cards and More sends me streams all the time off Whatnot. He sent me this one guy who, like, I'm not gonna name drop, but he was selling these sports boxes that were complete junk wax boxes, but he got the crowd so hype. He was selling these boxes and these cards for like significantly above comps, because it's like, oh, so and so has a rookie here, and it's like, yeah, they have a rookie, but they're not hard to find rookies because this was junk wax, so it's like there's so much of it.
Like 88, probably one of like Mark Grace. Mark Grace was a Hall of Fame great first baseman. The stuff as rookies, a quarter. Which
was he a Hall of Famer? I know he's a Cubs Hall of Famer. I don't know if he actually made the Hall though.
I think I could be wrong, but
great player regardless though.
A very known player, Will Clark. Mark Grace, Palmeiro, Maddox. I mean, look at Maddox. Maddox is one of the greatest pitchers of all time, but unfortunately, his rookie was in that junk wax era. His stuff is.
Well, even Griffey too. Like Griffey got so overproduced by Upper Deck, it was crazy.
Which is why I don't. If they'd learned from their mistakes, right? Because now Panini's doing the same thing, overproducing, which was what I was getting at with the base rookies back in the 70s and 80s. And even the early 90s when they had a little competition, it was cool, but they just drove it to the point where. Like a base Sol Ruka or a base Tiffany Stratton rookie is less than $1, and that's a shame. But it's that way because they made, first off the line, they made hobby, they made retail, they made blaster packs, they made fat packs, they made hanger packs, they made solo packs, they made just 18 million products, and the breakers keep breaking, and the price stays the same because of that. If used to be, it's kind of like if say Dave Adams got 500 cases of Panini Prism Wrestling in, and a month later they had 490 cases. Well, okay, let's drop the price, but instead it's the exact opposite. and it just keeps going up and up instead of down. And like
Well,
you say, it's hard to hit. It's hard to hit monetary value opening a box because
right.
the secondary price is so high at 250. You know what's Select and Prism are 250, 300 retail.
Yeah, Select 2023 has definitely been going up for hobby, has been going up price wise for a while now, especially during that era where stuff was kind of in limbo, where they were dealing with the court stuff between Panini and WWE. A lot of people were raising the price because a lot of Panini stuff now, like I remember before Select cases from 2022, like 6 months ago, they had them for like 1800, and now I go on Blowout and they're like 2600.
Well, it's because they're running out. I mean, think about it. There's still 2013, 2012 cases of that stuff. I'm not sure there's cases of 2022 or 2023 left much. I'll bet more 22 and 23. I'll bet there's less sealed product of that than there is of 2010, 2012, any other year because of the internet and the breakers and the just the and the whole thing is, I'm not against breakers. I like it. I used to get into them. For instance, 2 years ago on Whatnot, I got 10 cases of Impeccable. Well, each Friday I would do one case a week. I could have gone on and done 50. I dislike them doing 5 case breaks every day of the week, 8 or 10 different people, because it divides up the buyers. People have so much indisposable money, and let's face it, if you got to pay your gas for your car, your house payment or something, you're not buying cards. So it's a handful that can afford it, and they're just too often, I feel.
I think the 5 case thing is not necessarily the worst for consumers, but for resale value, it definitely kills the value of the product. And I will say, as far as people having to choose between certain stuff based off of pricing, like gas, living type stuff, I see Whatnot in particular, they offer the ability for people to pay in installments now, which to me is super predatory, especially
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, you can buy
with PayPal,
something.
They got that pay in 4 and PayPal credit and all that.
Right, you can pay later, pay in installments, blah blah blah. But it's one of those things that to me just seems very predatory because that's like basically giving a line of credit to someone at a casino.
Exactly.
Essentially, it's the exact same thing because I'll have people be like, hey, can you put that in the store for me? Because you can't use that if you're doing auction. You can only do it on buy it now items. So I'll have people ask me that, and I'm like, personally, I would never do that, but teach their own.
Yeah, and it's a tough line between but then and then it's hard. It's hilarious because if you really like a wrestler and want their autograph, it is cheaper to buy the single card certified autograph than to go pay $300 to meet them and get a picture and get it signed. Like all these guys, if you see Finn Balor at a Comic-Con or a WrestleFest, he's probably going to want $50-$75, but you can buy his autograph for $20, straight out of a pack. So
it's funny you mentioned that because I have a friend who's all about the quote unquote experience. They're like, oh, I got to meet Undertaker and blah blah blah. And for me, I'm like, did you meet Undertaker? Because he took he took your $300.
Got to pose with him, right?
Yeah, he posed with you for 30 seconds. Hey, what's your name? Bob. Oh, hey Bob, how you doing? All right, look at the camera. All right, what do you want me to sign? All right, cool. Oh, it's a rookie card. I'm gonna charge you an extra $100. Bing bam boom, you're gone. And I'm like, you could do that, or I could buy one of these overproduced Panini autos on the Bay because now his base, I remember I got one of his red autos for $140 to $99, and I was just like, man, Undertaker auto numbered only $140. It just seemed too good to pass up, and now it's probably even worth less than that.
Yeah, and that's where they're going. Well, that's what I'm saying. If they keep doing this, Undertaker autos are going to be $75 in 5 years because he's doing that one-man show out there. Let's just look at it. These guys are probably signing 200-300 autos a day at shows and parking lots, and Panini and wherever, So
I mean, Bob, do you
it's
think he
not
can even leave the house? Do you think Undertaker can legitimately leave the house like a normal person and not sign at least 100 autographs?
I've done Comic Cons and stuff with some big names, and it's like when I pick them up at the airport, there's 20 kids there with pops and markers and hands,
Well,
and
at
I'm
least
like,
it's kids, though. At least it's kids. Some of
well,
these grown men
the
at the
parents are in the
airport a little
shadows,
weird.
I'm sure, but at
Yeah.
the same point, it's kind of frustrating because I'm like, hey, I just spent $15,000 to bring this guy here, paid a first class flight, spending $20,000 on rooms, and you can't chip in $50 to pay for his autograph. You want to, and of course, the wrestlers at the airport aren't going to make a scene and be like, buzz off, kid, or whatever. So I get it, but it'd be nice if they'd kind of respect that aspect.
I mean, dude, they don't. That's the thing, is like a lot of those types of guys like don't care. I know I've heard stories where people send autograph like shit to people's houses and ask them to sign it, and I'm like, bro, like,
I'm sure they do. Yeah, I'm sure
like,
they can get their address off of the WWE site or something. But then it's just, I don't know. Like I went to a lot of live events and stuff, and I'd usually sit ringside and pay the extra for the seats. And it used to be $100 for a house show, $150 for a live show, and if you brought the kid, you're $200, $300, $400 in for the entertainment, the 3 hours experience, which is so. I can see people buying breaks, $300 for a Stone Cold spot for 2-3 hours of entertainment. It's just hard for me because I don't see the value. I'm unlucky, I guess. I've seen some people buy spots and get $3,000, and I have a problem with breaks because I'm unlucky. But so I just buy the cards.
Bob, can I ask you a question? Was your whole hidden agenda to shit on my business model on my podcast?
No, not at all. Not at all. I run breaks. I ran breaks.
I know. I'm just giving you shit, bro. I just thought it was funny.
I've done them, and it cracks me up because Fig Bath, this last break, he bought the Stone. I probably bought Stone Cold. Like I say, I'm not. I run breaks too, but I don't do them 20 cases a day. But Fig Bath, for instance, in my last break I did bought Stone Cold. I spent probably $4,000 buying Stone Cold spots and other breaks, and I got one Matt Relic card worth about $20. That's my luck. And my break, Fig hit, I think 2 or 3 autos, gold. I mean, it's just all shit luck. But I'm just saying my luck sucks at it. But
I bought into that break, bro. I remember I bought into your break that you did with all those it was like 100-something boxes, the one you're talking about, and I got killed on it. I'm not gonna lie, I got killed on it, but that'd be like that sometimes, That's them the breaks, as they say.
See, it's okay. You can shit on my break too.
Bob. Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is it's gambling. Like you brought it up before. Yeah. Like what point are they gonna? And some people are gracious losers, and some people aren't. So like I'm not mad at any of them. I just decided I have no luck. So.
Whatever works for people, man, because some people like breaks, some people don't. There's some people who I've seen be in single streams and they go into breaks and then they don't go in singles as much, and I see people who are only in breaks and they just go to singles because they're just like, let me just do that.
Well, you see the
people go in waves.
Yeah, what's hilarious is you see kind of the same groups in the Whatnot podcast, and I don't eBay, which is probably my biggest drawback. I know that's where you get the thousands of worldwide bids and stuff, but I got burned on eBay a few times, and just for me, I just like it. So I kind of like the personal shows on Whatnot and stuff, and I like the app, but that's my preference. Other people, if you did this for a living, we're really trying eBay. Like I run some pretty crazy stuff at $2, and I've had things go over $1,000, and I've had things go for $5, but you just hope at the end of the day they balance out. So
for sure.
But I remember you saying at what point, like the government and Congress isn't going to regulate it. But you're right. It's funny because not only sports cards, but Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh and all these things.
Bob, there's no incentive. Like, the thing is that trading cards and a lot of this stuff, like, some people were even crying for Disney to be called for antitrust for all the content they were buying. It's one of those things where there's no incentive, because the argument is like they might have a quote unquote monopoly, but it's not deemed a necessary good. Like,
No,
back in the
you're
day,
absolutely right, because
people needed oil. You know what I mean? So that's why they broke up Rockefellers. People needed oil. Like, people don't need Reggie cards. You know what I'm saying? People don't need Quincy's to live. I mean, I don't know. Some people with their PCs, you think they might die if they don't get that one specific card. But I'm just saying, like, it's not a necessity. So there's no real incentive for them to do it. And yeah, but in theory, at some point, it's something that they probably could do. Hopefully, it doesn't affect me.
I think it's mainly the sports, what'd you call the CEOs, like they give Panini all the power. When we were growing up, there was Topps, Lear, Donruss, Upper Deck, 7 or 8.
They're actually giving Topps all the power now, because now
exactly.
that Topps is owned by
They're giving all the power to one company.
Right.
Where they should spread it out between a few and let them, kind of keep each other in check. But when one company has reins, they can throw 5,000 Holgans in every product. They can throw 5,000. Yeah.
Well, now they're offering. The thing is, before, people used to do like licenses for sports products, and now like Fanatics is offering them like a percentage, like pretty much ownership over their cards. So it's like they're getting an actual like real cut off of the product versus just a royalty fee. So WWE has a lot of incentive to continue with Topps, even though, to me, like you said, I think having multiple people working with the same product is better for consumers, and it makes people work harder. I know we're a slightly different age demographic here, Bob, but like, one thing I always point to is like, the Madden video game, like the football game. Yeah, like there was a year where Madden bought the exclusive rights and their competitors stopped making their product, and Madden has gotten worse since then. It's been a significantly worse game. Most people, would agree that it hasn't been as good. And it's one of those things where it's like, well, we're the only NFL game in town, so if you want to buy it, this is it. Which is kind of what Panini's doing with WWE. It's like, well, you want WWE, this is it. Like, you can go make some fake color blasts of random hot WWE ladies wearing bikinis and shit. Not to call anyone out, but if you want
that cards, what is that company doing?
Them bootleg Kiss cards, or their fake those fake color blasts where it's just like
the convention cards, or
not conventions. I'm talking about people making. I'm not even talking about. I'm just talking about handmade cards where it's like, all right, let's find the hottest picture of Cora Jade in bikini we can, and just write Color Blast behind it, or write Kaboom behind it, because fuck it.
Totally. No, I've seen them. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like even the convention cards, people were shitting on them at first with the Ivy Nile, Tiffany Stratton, those Kiss cards, and I don't know who made them either. But you know what? It's a lot more affordable, and I believe they're legit. I mean, they're not licensed.
Wouldn't that be the funniest shit ever? Is that the lady signed them, but then someone else just kissed them? Like, wouldn't that be the funniest reveal in like 5 years? They just show some big lady named Bertha from Alabama who kissed all those cards. Or it was Quincy the whole time kissed them all.
You really want to drag up a shit topic and get people going. Here? Let's switch to this for some
spicy, a little spicy action.
Just instead of you and my opinion stuff, let's switch to this. What do you think about Mr. Mini and Kurt's Card Care and the card restoration stuff? What's your take on that? I see videos all the time. I don't use them. I don't do them, but I'm buying into it. Because I
don't care. I don't know. I find it so funny how upset people get about this whole concept of quote unquote play by these. It's like people are treating the hobby to me like it's fucking baseball back in the day, where it's like there's these unwritten rules. You can't do this and you can't do that. And I'm like, according to who? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mind it. That guy
I don't know Kurt personally. I know the product. Like,
Yeah.
get your money, you know, as long as you ain't making bootleg cards, as long as you're not screwing people over, as long as people know what they're getting into, I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? That's
I'm
just
the
me.
same way, but I look at it like old cars. You find an old beat up car. Some people are really good at restoring them and make them worth,
Right. I mean,
you
dude,
know.
perfect example, Bob. Right now, I live in DC by the Smithsonian, right? I'm not
Yeah,
crazy far from the Smithsonian. Tons of those
right.
paintings and pictures and all that have been restored. The Mona Lisa,
Correct.
all these famous paintings
Yeah,
throughout like historic times, like the most famous paintings in the world that are still alive. Most of them have been restored at some point. But you're telling
correct.
me somehow I pay that guy Kurt to take care of my card, or I buy some of his card bomb or whatever the fuck it is. All of a
Right.
sudden, I'm somehow breaking the rules. It's like, bro, get the fuck out of here. You know, some of these people just don't have like, I don't know, man. Some of the things people harp on as like it goes against the hobby. It's like, give me a break. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
and I saw somebody streaming the other day showing it, and I can't think of the name, but he was showing, using Kurt stuff to fix the cards, and I think he was charging $5 or whatever.
oh, you talking about
And
Levi?
might have been. I don't know who it was.
Levi,
I don't
because
remember.
shout out my guy, Mr. Jeans. He did a whole
It
Mr.
was
Jeans
Mr. Jeans,
1980.
exactly.
He did a whole
And you know
stream
what?
about card care. And actually, I just sent him 50 cards for my first ever PSA sub. So
Correct.
shout
And
out
I'm
Mr.
with
Jeans.
you, and I think it's cool as shit. Like I say, I'm buying into it, but a lot of people are against it. They're like, well, if you restore it, it's not original. And I said, it's if you restore it correctly. Like I'd be like you. I'd probably pay somebody to do it. I myself would fuck it up. Like I can
Right.
buy you a 1957 Chevy and a coat of paint and give you a handful of tools and it's gonna still look like a piece of shit out of the junkyard when I'm done with it. But under somebody who studies and does it right, like
Yeah.
Mr. Jeans looked like he was doing, shout out to that guy. Thanks a lot. And he buys a lot from me and stuff, and I'm not
and guys, for the record, Jeans didn't pay me to promote him at all on here. I'm just promoting him because A, it's the homie, and B, he does great work. So I'm
right,
gonna be
I couldn't remember who it was, and you brought it up, but I thought it was awesome. I mean, he wore gloves, he did everything. Like he looked like he really cared, kind of like
Oh
Kurt
no,
did.
he gained a lot of customers that day because people were like,
yeah.
wow, he's really bad. And I know a lot of people were like, wow, this is really informative. He had a lot of stuff and he cares. And to me, to be honest, Bob, for like, even though for $5 a card, that's an extra $250 that I'm gonna have to spend on my sub for 50 cards.
Yeah.
I'd
But
rather
all you
like
need is one. All you need is 1 9 to turn into a 10, and you make that 250.
right for me for the slight extra bread and not having to worry about it. Because one of the main things holding me up from getting for me submitting is like A, I don't have a PSA account, and B, I'm constantly worried that like, all right, this looks good to me, but is the guy looking at it gonna think this is an ace, gonna think this is nice? 9 versus me spending the $5 for a card to support my guy Mr. Jeans and also have him like look after my stuff because I know he's going to take care of it and I know he's going to do a really good job, as good as he can, and I know that's probably going to be better than whatever I can do because I have no experience doing it.
Exactly. I can watch the videos and buy the kit, but I'll probably still fuck it up.
I'm too ADD, bro. I don't have patience for it. I'd rather
Mr.
spend my
Jeans,
time on other
we'll talk
shit.
later about a 5% cut on this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Mr. Jeans is gonna need to break me off. He's gonna get mad for me bringing this up, but Levi, I'm just saying, you could send me that Jade Auto, the Bus Auto to 10. I wouldn't be mad, and I'll give you all the free promotion you want, my guy. He's gonna be so mad I brought that up again because he's like, bro, why do you keep asking me? He's like, you have so many more Jades than I do, but I'm like, I don't have that one though.
But yeah, I think I'm like you. I think it's all for it. And you know what? If it passes the grading, they don't know. There's no way to prove it, in my opinion, unless they just botch it. Obviously, card trimming and coloring they can catch, but these things that they're doing that they're good at, I think it's just like that show on Pawn Stars where that guy would restore all that old stuff. I forget who he was, but he was really good at it and made them look good. So I'm like that. That's my take on it. But I've heard a lot of people bitching about card restoration lately, and I just don't. I'm like, I don't see a difference in an old classic card getting restored and being worth more money than if you can find a way to take a crease out of a card. Hey, I'm all for it. I agree,
and
man. I want to see the prices go up.
Right. Like, I've never heard anyone talk about an old piece of art and be like, oh man, that was restored. Like, let's not take it serious. You know what I mean? Like, to me, like, the thing is just, it's one of those things where people are, to me, what that's really saying is that people are trying to gatekeep and make sure that their investments are worth more, because
Exactly.
it's like,
It's
oh,
watching out
well,
for your own stuff,
yeah, exactly.
and I don't
Exactly,
know,
dude.
at Days Inn you can't. I even saw a video where they had cards that they pinned like with thumbtacks onto the wall, and they were fixing it. Anyway, we could go on. That's a
Wild.
5 hour show in of,
That's
of
wild.
itself.
People with thumbtacks, bro. I don't know. That's borderline for me. But hey, like, if they made it go, by all means. But that's
Yeah.
wild. I don't know. That's the worst, man. I remember I bought this person's whole wrestling figure collection, and I was like, sweet. And they didn't tell me. And then I got home, and all of them had thumbtack holes in them because
Thumbtack
the
holes,
person
yeah.
literally painted their wall with sealed Jack's Pacific action figures, which to me is just like, it was a lady, because I was about to say, if it was a dude, I don't know how you get any women to fuck with you, but like, sorry if I made anyone upset by that comment. I'm just saying, like,
yeah, I just had a flashback to the Water Boy when he's calling the Big Show.
Oh yeah, Captain
He's
Infano.
a virgin.
Captain Infano,
Yeah, that's it. Oh man, and then I'll scroll on to my last little thing I wanted to talk about is me and a few others of us that stream. And I'll call out SE and Piazza. We like to hit
shout out the good brothers SE and Piazza too.
We like to hit the sauce and drink a little during the stream. And
well, Bob, real quick, SE does not drink too much during the stream. I just want to specify. SE's not too much. SE definitely is Mr. Professional. Mr. Professional, like your boy Shway.
I'm not trying to make us all sound like sloshes, but occasionally Bob is messed up on a shipping item or 5, and if you get something screwed up, contact the seller. I'm not just saying me, anybody. 99 times out of 100, we will go out of our way to make it right, correct it, get you your money back, or get you a better card or something, as opposed to just lacing out and saying these guys are a joke or a disgrace or whatever. We're having fun, and everybody has fun different ways. And I know some people. I've sent out probably 20,000 cards since I've started on Whatnot. I've probably messed up a handful of orders, and sometimes the post office loses them. So don't always get mad.
That always cracks me up when people are like, oh man, my thing got lost, and I'm like, bro, like, I don't work at the post. Like, once I drop it off, there's literally like nothing I can do once it's dropped off.
Yeah. I've had people call me and say, man, the letter was bent and dinged a corner. Can you send me a replacement? And usually I do, because usually I want them to be happy, but
right,
it's like you say, I can't control. If I put it in the top loader and put it in bubble wrap and the thing still gets bent, we can only control so much. We can only try. And I've learned. I remember the first few things I sent out. I sent away cards. Went as far as to put a video on YouTube of my packing, and I got like an X-Acto knife and carved out some cardboard and made it. It looked awful. I'll admit, but it got there, and he left me, subpar feedback. And I said, "But did the cards get there on time and undamaged?" He said, "Yeah, but the packing looked awful." And I said, "Well, I was learning, I was cutting boxes, but." I said, that's still no reason to leave bad feedback just because the packaging looked bad if the cards were okay. But I've mended fences with about everybody that I've had a run in.
I had someone, I did a break, and I cardboarded it, penny sleeve, top loaded, team bag, bubble mailer. Right. Literally, to me, like, that's one thing I pride myself on, is I feel like I have very above average packing. And something came, one of the corners came bent to the person, and I was like, hey, I protected it, I'm sorry, I'd be happy to refund you, or if you want, like, I could give you something else, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh no, I wanted to let you know because it seems like you just sent my cards damaged. And I'm like, bro, you're implying I sent you damaged cards. Like, dude, like I offered to give you a refund. I offered to give you something else in replacement. And now you're gonna sit here and tell me that I'm sending you previously damaged stuff. It's like, bro, like I don't really know what you want me to do here. And I will say, I feel like in society in general right now, not just in cards, I feel like people a lot of times just assume the worst and will be like, you know, oh, well, so and so is trying to fuck me over. And sometimes it's just like, dude, like, you know, sometimes like I've had, you know, someone's hit me in the past and been like, hey, I was supposed to get this card and it wasn't there. And I ended up just giving them something else. Or someone lost their postal in the mail by the post office and they were on me about it for like 2 months. And even though I didn't do anything wrong, I still gave them free stuff. I don't feel like I should have, but it meant something to them.
That's what I'm
so
saying. Like, usually, whether it be me, you, anybody really, we'll work with you. Don't just jump to the worst and think, screw this guy and go out to smear his name,
right?
And things. Because a lot of times, I especially will go above and beyond, and probably I won't go to the whole name, but Gorilla, I still owe you a nice Shotzi. I totally loused up one of his. That was totally on me. I got nobody to blame me on that, but I still remember who I owe a favor or two to and stuff down the line. But it'd be nice if the people were more understanding of more human and do.
Yeah, or just like I said, just come to you and explain the situation, and I'm sure, like, you know, as they say, you get more bees with honey than vinegar or whatever the saying is, you know.
100, one of those bee and honey things, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. One of those bee and honey things. Like, if people come up to me and are like, hey, I was supposed to get this, just wanted to let you know, blah, 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 you know, usually if they're coming at me chill, I'll just be like, hey, like, I can refund you, or I can give you something to replace it, or whatever you want to do. I just don't want you to feel bad about your purchase. Versus someone coming up to me and being like, yo, fuck you, you're totally coming out to get. I'm like, bro, like, this energy you're coming at me with is just crazy. Like, dude, you think I'm intentionally holding this one card that I could give two shits about and it's probably worth $25 max?
Yeah, like, I tell people I'm not out to ruin your day over $10, I promise.
Yeah, right. To me, at the end of the day, like, you know, if it's a difference between like $10 to $40 to make someone happy versus not, like 9 times out of 10, I'll probably just find something to give them that I know they PC.
And that's the other complaint I get sometimes from buyers, and I'm sure you've had it happen a time or two. And I try to explain to them. I say, you know, they expect everything they buy raw to grade a 10. I think.
Right.
And,
yeah.
And I'm like, look. A lot of this stuff you watch me open, it's pack fresh. Pack fresh doesn't mean it's a 10. I mean, I can't get that through to people. And I had one guy actually, you know, kind of whine and complain that these are all 8s and 9s. And I said, well, how do you know? Did you grade them? He goes, well, just the eye test. So I said, I don't.
And then
if you're buying on screens, just have the knowledge that every raw card you're buying is not going to grade a 10, even though in your mind you want it to. So,
well, on top of that too, I don't hear dudes complaining when they're buying cards from you under market value.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah. Like, and you've had a few go that way too, where you're like, man, this is a $60 card and it goes for $25.
I mean, dude, I had a Maxine Auto in my stream the other day, and if SC hadn't bought it for $40, it was about to be like a $30 card, and like on eBay it was comping for $60 or $80, and I'm just like, fuck, you know what I mean? It's one of those, you win some, you lose some, but it's just like, I always say this, and I feel it's a pretty good rule of thumb when people ask me about mystery packs or any streams on whatnot. I feel like the majority of people aren't happy unless the streamer's losing money. When the streamer's losing money, everyone's like, this guy's the best. I love his streams, blah, blah, blah. And sadly, that's probably why I got so many likes. I'm one of those idiots, but it does suck as somebody who, because they don't only understand, did I lose, like I bought this case for $200 and only got 1,500 sold in spots. Right.
I lose 4 or 5 hours of my time sorting it all out I lose another couple hundred in envelopes, padding, shipping, and another few hours of time. And they have the opinion that we're making millions of dollars. We don't. I lose a lot. I don't always win.
I had the stream of Women's Division 2017 not too long, which we got about 4.5 minutes left, so I'll try to wrap it up. Where it was, I was trying to go kiss card hunting, 4 breaks of 10 hangers each, and there was like 50 spots. So I ran all those spots. It was hard to fill the last 2 breaks, and I was online for 4 or 5 hours. I ended up, after whatnot fees, making like $80 for the whole time, and that's not like taking into account like if I was to pay myself minimum, even just minimum wage, materials, sorting, anything.
Took you 5 hours to fill it, then another 3 hours to ship it, then another,
and also then people want everything shipped too because it's a more niche product. So it's like, it always cracks me up when it's like you'll see a break and I'm like, I'm losing money on this, and they're like, but does everything ship? And I'm like, bro, like, I'm already losing money on this, like, I know. And to be honest, like, personally, I'd rather have mixed base personally, because like, what am I gonna do with like 30 Carmelo cards? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just being honest.
And that's the other problem with the base, like you say,
some people are sticklers. I've had people like literally be like, oh, well, I'd buy into your break if you did that, or they're like, oh, can you just send me my base? And I'm like,
well, my kid, and I get it. My kid makes sets, but after 2 or 3 sets, I don't need 50 sets. So I'm
right. Well, what I've done recently is like someone's like, someone's like, oh, well, my kid collects so and so. I'll be like, yo, DM me who your kid likes, and I'll go in and try to like add cards if I can, which actually reminds me, I just missed one I was supposed to do that with. Dude, it's like when you're doing, I just remembered, but when you're doing 100, sometimes I forget, but like I try to do that where I'll just go in because I have a pile of base cards and I'm like, I separate them by who they are, like older stuff. So some guy was like, oh, my kid likes Jey Uso. So I'm like, all right, so I just send him 10 base Jey Uso cards that probably at best I could sell for like $4 to $5 for all of them.
And you know what, the kids, that's what people forget, is that when we were little, we were kids and the kids drove the hobby. It's hard for kids to afford this hobby anymore. So it's like Luke's mom. I don't know if you know her. Little Luke does his little strings.
I Luke go in there cards. I know Luke.
Yeah, I go in there and I buy $20. Sometimes I'll buy $40, but to them that means the world. That's what I like to see, is them all happy making a few bucks, even if I overpaid for some base cards for them. But it's these mass guys like me, you gentlemen, these guys, we don't want base, but the kids like it, so it's good to it's good to give it to them and donate it and throw them in packs and
I'll throw them in, just
them and stuff.
Don't come in my stream asking for. I've had people come in and just be like, yo, send me all your base for free, and I'm like, bro, no. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't gonna do that.
I even told people I'll sell it by the pound, but you got it. The thing is, honestly, it costs more to ship it than the base. You get 2 or 3 cases, you know what it is. You got 10 pounds of cardboard there. It's $28 to ship it, and people are like, can I have your base? I'm like, well, if you want to pay the shipping.
Right. Bob, real quick, we got under 60 seconds. Wanted to thank you for coming on the pod. I'm going to call you after too. Is there any final thoughts you want to get off before we end real quick? Because we're literally about to end.
It's great, man. I just want everybody on Whatnot, because I don't do eBay and everything else, that follows me and follows my friends and stuff. Thank you. And really, if some of these other bigger guys coming in would touch base and we'd all get together and spread out our shows to where we're not fighting against each other, I think we could all have fun and a good time.
Exactly. I mean, you heard what I said about Johnny last time, dude. It's just, if we coordinated and worked together, it's a lot better than all of us going at each other.
And that is episode 13 of the No Shway Out podcast. The joys of using Zoom and getting cut off after 45 minutes because you don't want to pay for the premium version. Am I right, guys? The last point I was just trying to make is that, you know, instead of being at people's throats and stuff like that, I just wish that the wrestling community and whatnot was a little more, as far as streamers, supportive of each other instead of viewing everyone as competition. But I kind of touched on that last episode. Just wanted to thank Bob again, guys. Make sure to follow Bob at MADCOLLECTS on Whatnot. Make sure to follow me at Shway Nostalgia on Whatnot, on Twitter, on Instagram. Join the Shway Nostalgia Wrestling Facebook group. We got a good group of people in there. Go to shwaywrestling.net. Please join that community, guys. Over 400 people, over 110 sellers. Really cool. We're trying to do a lot of cool stuff in there. I do breaks. It's a marketplace to sell your singles, and it's a community. A lot of cool stuff, guys. I'm going to be recording a few more episodes. I'm actually going to be on the road with the band Teen Mortgage, coming up for about 17 days on their upcoming tour, doing a little pop-up shop in each city I go to. If you'd like to see the dates that I'm doing, you can check out my Instagram page at Shway Nostalgia or the Facebook group. I posted a list of all the dates I will be on. Feel free to come out, say hi. I'm actually going to try to do a meetup separately of the show when I'm in Chicago too. So if you live in Chicago, feel free to DM me to get more info. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I'd really like to meet you guys. If you live in any of the cities, check it out. And until then, guys, please like, share, subscribe to the podcast. Let me know what you think. You know, really trying to build this out. But again, appreciate your listen, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks.